Good evening, everyone. We will continue our common question series in a few minutes. Before that, Baruch Hashem, after a long period of suffering, the wicked Israeli government collapsed. And they're going to have election. Not that I like election, because every election is a waste of money. But in this particular situation, this election is a saving. Because the government that was in the last, I believe, 2 years, no matter what they did, they had one thing in their mind: to destroy the yeshivot and the Bnei Torah. That was their agenda. And even though Netanyahu, the prime minister, is not such a Torah hater, he's not a lover, but he's not such a Torah hater like the rest of his partners, he was forced by his partners to become the worst you can imagine, because you know how it is, with pressure, it's like blackmail. You don't do what we want, we leave the government, you're not going to be the prime minister. That's one of the rotten things in democracy. That if you have to put few groups together, even if one group is good and the other one is bad, the bad is holding the good one with their throat. You're not going to listen to me. I'm breaking the agreement, the partnership, and you're gone. So since you believe you want to save the country or help the country or you want to be the prime minister, you are forced to give them what they want. And all they wanted, Lapid and his wicked friends, is to destroy the religion. He printed now, I didn't know that. I mean, I don't know where I live, but someone just asked me yesterday, you didn't see the new 50 shekel bill that he printed? I said, no. No, what's the big deal? He printed a new 50 shekel bill. He said to me, he wrote on it, like in America, they write on the dollars, the goyim, in God we trust. Yes. He wrote, in men we trust. No. That's what he wrote. The apple did not fall far from the tree. So 1 week after he did it, Hashem buried him. Baruch Hashem. I tell you something. Sometimes people tell me, when will Hashem stop this wicked guy? When will Hashem stop that wicked guy? Why Hashem doesn't kill the terrorists? All kinds of questions like this. And I say, there's 2 ways to look at that. There's 2 ways to look at that. What's the story there with the bag? There's 2 ways to look at that. One is to sit and eat your heart when these wicked people will be destroyed. And there's a second way to look at that. What is it? To sit and enjoy. Why? Every day they live, their hell will become deeper and deeper. So they'll get what they deserve. They're going to get a lot worse. So the more they are in power, the more they will suffer. And they deserve to suffer, these wicked people. Someone make a war against God, I don't care who he is, whether he is a yarmulke or not, is a Jew or non-Jew, doesn't matter who. Somebody like that has to be the most hated person in the whole world, or perhaps in history. People fight with each other. Fine, that's the way the world is. He doesn't like him, he doesn't like her, she doesn't like him. It's history. But to declare a war against God and to be such an ungrateful monster, anyone who loves you is a hater of God. Can't love someone like that. I don't care who he is, your uncle, your brother, doesn't matter who he is. Once he declares with no shame that all he wants is to fight against God and the Torah and the people who listens to God, that's the real Nazi. Remember what I say, the Nazis, they wanted to kill bodies, and they did kill millions of bodies. The people that they killed, those who were righteous, went to heaven. So, and the people that were not righteous, whatever God did with them, maybe he sent them back, I don't know what he did with them, but one thing for sure, everybody dies in the end. 10 years more, 10 years less. Life over here is not what's really important. It's the question is where you go. where you go. So if a person went to heaven 10 years faster, I don't think he's complaining right now, right? He was supposed to go to heaven when he was 70, and he went there when he was 60 because he got killed. The people around him are suffering a lot. Wow, our father died young, it's not fair. They're upset. But that person, within days, already is in his new place and is very happy. So, Baruch Hashem, we'll see now what's going to be. Hopefully now, and the good news is that sometimes when the government collapses, it takes few months until they make an election. In these few months, the wicked people, they do everything they can to go full force because they have nothing to lose, to destroy their religion even more. But this time when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to bury Lapid and Livni, the two liberal Jews that hates Torah so much, Netanyahu fired them immediately. He didn't keep them in power until the election. He fired them, which means that they're not going to be in the next government, which is double good news. One good news that they collapse, we have to wait until the election, he keeps them in power, they win a lot of voters, then he's forced again to go with them. But if he fires them, it's over. At least that's what we hope. All right, so we will continue our series. In case you didn't pay attention, the Psalm series is going very well. Very, very well, much more than I expected it. I made about five lectures already into that. And it's very good for those who read Tehillim to get the idea of every chapter, what they say, what it means, what was it written about, who wrote it, what was the situation, what's the secret in it. Everything in that series, Psalms, Tehillim, on my website and on YouTube. And it will be eventually on CDs. Now you have new CDs. We made CD number 22 in English, CD number 23 in English. Every CD have about 30 hours of lectures. So we already, Baruch Hashem, thousands of hours. And in Hebrew, we reached CD number 9 already. Number 9. And so therefore, you have few new CDs in case. Some of those lectures on those CDs were right here. You may hear your voice over there. I see our friend is a no-show today. He did not show up. Okay.
I hear you.
Tov, let's move on. There's a question. Why the Torah learners have to respect the people who donate to the yeshivot? Two reasons that they don't deserve any respect. One, they're only messengers of God to give the yeshivot what he wants the yeshivot to have. And second, the people that donate to the yeshivot, they are the one who makes all the profit. The yeshivot is doing a favor to these people by letting them invest their money in a stock that gets the highest profit. So if you buy a stock that is hot in the market and it gives a huge profit, they tell you thank you, you tell them thank you for agreeing to take my money, right? If you come to, I don't know what's his name, Buffett, the best investor in America, you come to him and say, I want to put my money by you, whatever profit you make for yourself, but I'll make the same percentage. So he's going to say, okay, let me think about it. Who are you that I should take your money? In the end, he agrees. Who has to say thank you to who? He has to say thank you to you? No. So the answer is why really they have to respect them. The answer, first of all, if someone was a messenger of God for a positive cause, that means Hashem chose that person to give him the merit to support such an important thing in the eyes of God. That means Hashem respects him. He doesn't give this merit to every person. So if this person had the merit for whatever reason to support Torah, that means Hashem likes this person. Otherwise, he wouldn't give him such a great investment to make. right? If you're a stockbroker and you have time to trade for 2 or 3 people, not more, because it takes time. You have to go from one screen to another. Who would you choose? The most important people to you. Yourself, maybe your brother, maybe your sister, maybe your parents, and maybe your best friend. That's it. That's more or less what you're going to do. You're not going to agree to take from everyone and go to 20 different screens, because it's not possible. So if Hashem gave this person the opportunity to invest in a good yeshiva, that means Hashem wanted him to win a huge reward. So therefore, we all also are obligated to respect him. There's one more reason. Even though everything that eventually we got in our life for good or for bad was after the approval of God, Hashem had to approve it for good and for bad, which means somebody steals from you, Hashem approved it. Otherwise, he can freeze him. He can get him arrested on the way. He can get him pulled over, flat tire. He can make him miss you. Can make a lot of things that it won't happen. He won't unable to break the door as he thought. All kinds of things. Hashem has many ways to stop a robber. The fact that it happened, it means Hashem agreed. For whatever reason, he agreed. Or the fact that someone gave you X amount of money and in the end of the year this was your income for what people gave you, that's also past the approval of Hashem. So therefore, the idea in Judaism is like this. Even though everything is messengers of Hashem, the Torah requires gratitude, not to be ungrateful. That's a very important thing in Judaism. That's basically what Judaism means. Somebody asks you, what does it mean, Yehudi? What's the word Yehudi? Even though it came from the word Yehuda. Yehuda, but what does it really mean? If you want to say what Judaism is in one word. Modeh, that's it. You have to say modeh. Modeh has 2 meanings. One meaning of modeh is that I admit for the truth. And the second meaning means thank you, modeh lecha. I appreciate it, thank you. So 1 word, 2 meanings. Those 2 meanings are the foundation of Judaism and the foundation of righteousness. You want to be righteous? Those 2 things you must have. Always to appreciate what people do for you, always, even the tiniest thing. Never to dare that words like this would ever come out of your mouth. What did he do for me? What's the big deal? You sound like you did anything special. That's his job. He owed me. I did a lot more for him. He did it because he wants something in the future from me. All these complaints are illegal for a Jew to use. Illegal. It's out of the truth of the Torah. It's out. And also, never to be a liar and a deceiver and always to lie about the truth because it's convenient for you to go with a different way, so you twist everything around. Like someone that is Mechalel Shabbat, so when he hears that someone that is not Shomer Shabbat gets cut for eternity, obviously he doesn't like to hear it, so he comes and say, no, it was then, it's not today. Today Hashem didn't mean it. The Mechalelei Shabbat of today, they don't really know that much. It doesn't really apply to them. All these kinds of excuses that people like to always find, it's not going to help them. Better to face reality now and maybe fix it than to wait and count on a miracle that maybe that will be the case. Because according to almost all the poskim, everybody says that Tinok Shenishba, the secular people of today, especially in Israel, they are not Tinokot Shenishbu. They hear about Torah and Shabbat every minute. Everywhere you go, there's thousands of people around you, Shomrei Shabbat, television, on CDs, on internet, and there's a channel on a television that broadcasts Torah non-stop. They see other religious people fight for the Shabbat. They see people lay down on the floor for Shabbat. They see people demonstrate for Shabbat. They see all kinds of things. They cannot come and say, we never knew what Shabbat is. I didn't really hear about it. Maybe they're born in Siberia, maybe yes. And there's a lot of other examples, like when a person decides to do something wrong, he begins to search for things that will back him up. That's not the right way. The right way is to do what's right. Not to start looking for crooked way and then to look for someone who backs you up. And there was one case that there's one very famous speaker that started to speak against singers that sings in mixed parties, like wedding, mixed wedding. He started to speak against the singer, that they're wicked, they're machtia rabim. So far up to here, it was 1,000,000% right. No question about it. If you sing in a mixed dancing and men and women sing thanks to your singing, you're a criminal. However, he went a little bit too far, that speaker. How he went? It became personal. The war between him and them already became personal, which means the singers, which call themselves religious, retaliated against him, and he against them, and they against him, and it didn't stop. Every hour, someone say something, and the entire community started to get rocked from left to right, which side they take. It caused tons of lashon hara, and at one point he said that it's mitzvah to take all their CDs that they recorded in the studio, and to shred them, and to burn them, and he even offered money, like 100 shekel, to everyone who would give them CDs in one of his lectures to shred it. And it became like a whole, and then after the war escalated, because those singers have power just as much as him or more. If people have to choose between a good speaker of Torah to a good singer, what most people do? Clown, singer, athletes, that's what people like. Movie stars, famous people on the news. So, people that appreciate Torah, they appreciate speakers, but most people don't appreciate Torah. So the point was that he wanted a big rabbi to back him up. Up to now, whatever he did on his own. Started to say you're not allowed to listen to them singing, you're not allowed to listen to their CDs. He went a little bit too far. As one thing, he was right, these people are sinners, they're machtia rabim, everything is fine. But it doesn't mean that if they sang, you're not allowed to hear the singing. They went already a little bit too far. So what happened? He wanted to go to meet Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. And Rabbi Ovadia Yosef said, I don't want to see him. I don't want him to come in. Now you have to understand, up to that moment, he was a very big hero in the house of Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. He was always blessing him, putting him to sit in the head of the table, always praising him, someone that makes people religious, the most important person in the world, tapping on his shoulder, giving him some friendly smacks. And after that moment, he did not want to see him anymore. And this was his words. What was his words? He said, first he declared all kinds of things, and now he runs to me to put a stamp on it that I agree with that. That's not the right way. The right way, you go to a big rabbi, you tell him, I want to start a war based on the sins that these singers make. Everybody knows that what singing in a mixed party, it's a big sin. In the Orthodox world, there's no question, maybe yes, maybe not. How to take actions against it, you need an advice of a big chacham. Why? Because sometimes the war would cause more damage. And that's exactly what happened. It caused a huge chilul Hashem. It caused many Jews to fight with each other. It caused tons of lashon hara. And in the end, it caused that the career of that speaker ended. After he got to the point that Rabbi Ovadia Yosef himself said, wrote a letter, mitzvah to replace him with someone yireh shamayim. That was his words. Finished him up. He basically finished his career in one sentence. Why is it? All of that happened because a person went, even though the beginning of the fight was l'shem shamayim, because obviously he was speaking against people who make sins in public, but once he became personal, the l'shem shamayim is gone already. It was all about who's going to win, me, who's stronger. And in the end, that's what happened. So now a person has to always go with the truth, not what's good for me, what's in it for me, how much would I gain, etc. Let's move on. When I pray in yeshiva, sometimes the air condition is off. In Israel, it's very humid. I want to take off the jacket because it's hidur to pray with the jacket, so, and hang it on the shoulder to cool off. Is that disrespect? Instead of wearing the jacket, just to hang it on the shoulders, or no? The answer, yes. Everything that you would not do in front of a king, a person king. If you go to meet, I don't know, the King of Denmark, the Queen of England, Obama, it's the King of America, Obi. So now, would you come to the meeting with the jacket hang on your shoulder?
For him, yeah.
Bottom line, when you stand in front of Hashem, you have to always realize I'm standing in front of a king. So I won't dress less than when I'm dressed in front of a regular king. Cannot be I respect a king, basar v'adam, whether he's righteous or wicked, even if he's righteous, right? I respect him more than Hashem? Cannot be. Someone who goes on a journey, he's in a car, he's in a bus, going with friends from place to place, and he took himself a bottle of drink, and all day he's drinking. Drinks now, 20 minutes later, again, another sip, an hour later, another sip. Every time he drinks, he has to make a bracha, or it's enough in the beginning of the trip, he make a bracha, and all day it's counting one bracha. Because the question is, if a person is in one place, he makes one bracha and that's it. But if he moves from one place to another, every new place requires a new bracha.
After being in the car.
He's in the car. He's in the
Car, in a bus, he goes down off the bus, he comes back on the bus. You know how trips are. Museum, they go back. They go here, lunch, they go back. Here, they stop in many places on a trip. So the answer is, in order for you to make another bracha, it needs a sechadat, that your attention went away completely from the eating. So in other words, when does it happen? A person goes to the bathroom, let's say. So he made a bracha on the water, he drank, then 5 minutes later went to the bathroom, 15 minutes later he came out. Now he needs to make another bracha. Because in a bathroom you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't eat. So that's automatically took his mind away from food. But if he went from here to there, did something over there, and he came back to here and he wants to drink, it's considered that he's still busy with the drinking. Those, by the way, as simple as it may sound, it's one of the hardest halachot in halacha. There's a lot of contradictions about it. If you move from room to room, if you go to the second floor of the house, you know, how long between one sip to another requires to make bracha again. But because there are so many arguments about it, and because there is a very big sin to make the same bracha twice, because it's a violation of the 10 Commandments, that the Torah says you should not mention my name in vain. Better never to say doubled. Better not to say than to say. So make yourself a rule, all these people who listens now. Always in the first blessing, you have to have in mind that you know where you're going to drink it, where you're going to eat it. You know if you're on the road, you know if you're staying in one place, you know if you move from place to place. If you have in mind, I have it in mind that I'll drink it all day, no matter where I go. I don't take my mind away from it. One bracha, it's enough for everything. If you come to a house and someone is serving you, you're a guest, as soon as you make one blessing, it's enough for all the food they will serve you today. They gave you chicken now. Okay, so you're eating, you make shakol. An hour later, they gave you coffee. Technically, if it was in your house, you have to make shakol again. An hour later, you want coffee, you make yourself coffee, you make another bracha. But over here, because you're a guest, as soon as you come to a house, the mentality is that the host is always serving. So you already knew in your subconscious that they're going to serve me a lot of things here, especially if you come to a house of Persians or Bukharians. Over there, they force you to eat. There's a difference between hospitality we put on the table, like the Syrians say, tfaddal, enjoy. But there's one thing that if you don't eat, they get offended. That's already harassment. You must eat. You have to eat from this. Oh, you're insulting us. Come on, this. Finally you came. They don't leave you alone. They obviously know once I go into that door, I gain 3 pounds. There's no other way. I learned my lesson already. Now what happens if you come, somebody asks you a favor. I said, can you come, I don't know, give blessing to my baby. Now you know once you walk to that door, it becomes a Shabbos meal. Now what happens if you don't know if these people are strictly kosher or not? Now you have a big problem now. There's one thing, you go in, they'll force you to eat, and there's no way to say no to them. Again, you hurt their feeling. So if you know who they are and you trust their food 100%, no, so you're forced to eat, not the end of the world. There are bigger punishments than this in life. But the problem is, what happens if these people don't know halachot? They don't clean the vegetables from worms. They don't know what's kemach yashan, what's not. They don't know Chalav Israel. There's a lot of things that may be the case here. Maybe the meat is not strictly kosher. There's a lot of maybe, question mark. Maybe they mix meat and dairy, the plates, they're not sure. There's so many maybes over here. Even if they're traditional, they go to shul, this, but a lot of these traditional people, that's what I call in Israel, it's datilonim. That's a new expression now, datilonim. If I'm not mistaken, I invented it. But maybe not. But one day I had this idea, but then I started to hear other people saying it. Datiloni means half and half. Dati v'chiloni mixed. Shomer Shabbat in one hand, but jeans with holes and sandals, ponytail, but Shomer Shabbat. Food, kosher in a house, not so kosher outside of the house. Rabbi, we keep kosher in a house. So what do? So you say to them, I can't eat, the doctor told me that I'm not allowed to eat. Oh, so now the lady over there say, but it's a lie. So, it's not a lie. When you say the doctor told me not to eat, you have in mind the Rambam, Maimonides. He wrote the foundation of Shulchan Aruch, it's Rambam. And he said that if the person you're not sure who he is and you don't know where the food is, you cannot trust it. So you say the doctor, Rambam was a doctor. You got it? Not that I think it's going to help by them. Don't worry, we'll talk to your doctor. Only today. The doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. No, that's no problem. Fruits, banana, apple, no problem. But it's not enough for them. Now, is it derech eretz to eat on a bus? Or it's like someone that eat in the street in the market that the sages spoke very badly about him?
Same thing.
If it does not disturb others, and if it's at night when it's dark and no one really pays attention, you can do it. You can sneak a bite here and there. But if it's sunny, middle, packed, you eat your falafel and the hummus is all over your beard, and everybody looks at you. It's Chilul Hashem. If we got a ticket by giving someone a ride, hitchhike, we got into a car, we drove, we did not put seat belt. Police pull you over, they gave you a ticket, one for you, or one for him, or for both of you, or only for him, for the passenger. Who has to pay for the ticket of the passenger? The driver or the passenger himself? You may come and say it's the responsibility of the driver.
Buckle up or get out. Buckle up or get out, my friend.
Maybe both. Both of us sharing the paying the city.
They asked Rav Eliashiv this question. He said the passenger has to pay. The passenger caused the damage, he has to pay. Are we allowed to get on a plane that fly out of Israel at Saturday night after Shabbat, but you know it arrived to Israel on Shabbat, that plane? Not, let's say it's not El Al, it's a foreign country, foreign company. And they landed, now Shabbat starts 4:20, 4:30, they landed 6 in Israel. And there was delay. Usually I think they plan that all flights will arrive to Israel before Shabbat. But over here, you know, there's sometimes delay. What can you do? They're goyim. The pilot is a goy. And he landed in Israel in Shabbat. Are you allowed to get on that plane now or no? No, why it's the question is because once the plane is landing, they have to prepare the plane. They have to clean it, they have to put things in place. So they prepare the plane for you on Shabbat, which is against the halacha. If somebody fixes your car for you on Shabbat, it's a problem. You cannot use the car Motzei Shabbat. You have to wait. How long does it take to fix the car? If it took 2 hours, you have to wait. You cannot enjoy from an act that was made specially for you. But if you give it to the mechanic, the goy, enough before Shabbat, let's say Shabbat starts 5, you give him the car at 2. So he had time to finish by 4. But he preferred to do other jobs. And he finished the car at 7, which was already on Shabbat. That's not my problem. As long as I give him the car enough before Shabbat that he can do the job before Shabbat. Otherwise, if I give it to him 2 minutes before Shabbat on my way to the shul is here and Vini is right here. So I drive into Vini. Vini, take care of the problem. I'll see you tomorrow night. Then when will Vini fix the problem? For sure on Shabbat. That means it's like me ordering the goy to do work for me, which is not allowed.
The airline's not for you, though. Isn't the airline a regular schedule?
The answer to this question, we're allowed to get on a plane if they had enough time to prepare the airplane on Motzei Shabbat, after Shabbat finished, which means if Shabbat finished at 6, but the flight is at 7, right, or 8, there's enough time to they prepare the plane on Shabbat, but they had enough time to do it Motzei Shabbat. Therefore, since there was enough time Motzei Shabbat to prepare it, you're allowed to get on it. But if they fly 2 minutes after Shabbat start, first of all, it's not realistic. How are you going to get to the airport? This question is only relevant if you can walk to the airport, which doesn't make sense because you still have to carry your stuff on Shabbat. It's not realistic. So really this question, whoever wrote that question wasn't thinking about all the details, but at least we learned the concept here. The concept here that if the job was made for you on Shabbat, you cannot enjoy it right away a minute after Shabbat, which means if someone boiled water for you 10 minutes before Shabbat is over, and now Shabbat is over and you want to make yourself tea, you're not allowed. You have to wait enough time that it takes to boil water, and by then the water will be cold already. So you have to reboil the water.
So if the mechanic tells you that he worked on the car on Shabbat after,
I never told him to do it. The idea is not if he worked or not, if I gave him the command to do so. That's the issue here. Now, there are all kinds of organizations that raising funds to improve the quality of our environment, to make it more green, to fight against big tycoons who invade and occupy the beaches, to make more parks, to do all kinds of, safety things in a community, to fight against cellular phone antenna that cause cancer, and they raise funds. Is this mitzvah to donate money to them or no?
No. Sure, why not?
Why not?
Technically, directly or indirectly, we enjoy from what they do, no? If they move a cellular antenna from the street into a faraway area, the people in the area benefit from it. If they make fences in a busy streets, like Queens Boulevard, they made a fence because so many people were getting killed there. So they made a whole long fence. You have to only go for the sidewalk. You cannot run in. Eventually, it can save life. There are people who fight for those things. Now, it doesn't just happen. The answer is, it's a much bigger mitzvah to donate to poor people, and to Torah, and to other things. It's also good to do what they do, but there are causes that are much, much higher. For the same amount of money, you can earn a lot more. So now you're going to say, so if everyone will think like what you say, no one will give the money. The answer, don't worry. When it comes to mitzvot, there's plenty of fools. They will only give to the last cause on the list. They will have plenty of things to do. Now,
also, some of these organizations have people that are support, anti-Jewish causes as well. Some of these environmentalist people, a lot of them are anti-Semites.
Yeah.
Supporters of the PLO and Hamas.
No, I was talking in Israel, not here. Here, for sure, there's nothing to donate to them.
That's what it is.
Now, I'm collecting money for one yeshiva. Can I tell someone else that collects for another yeshiva not to go into my territory? I'm collecting here already for years. Why you came here? Leave the rich people of this area for me and you go to there. All of you agree that the answer is yes or no? What is it? Oh, okay. I just wanted to be sure. Someone that was born with someone that was circumcised by a mohel that is not religious, not Shomer Shabbat. Does he need to do the circumcision again or no? Obviously, there's nothing to cut. So what do you do when there's nothing to cut? You have to draw blood. Without drawing the blood, it's a hikuv, it's a problem. That's why even goyim, when we convert them, most of them are converted, almost all of them. I mean, all circumcised, almost all of them. But they still have to take a little blood, otherwise it doesn't count that they did the circumcision. So the question is, if a Jew was circumcised by another Jew, but the Moel was not Shomer Shabbat, he needs again to be circumcised and to take a drop of blood again, because Mechalel Shabbat is count 100% like a goy in halacha. Don't ever forget that, and don't ever listen to someone who tell you otherwise. They're lying. They're not telling you the truth. All the poskim throughout history agree unanimously on that. Someone that knows there's Judaism, and they know there's such a word Shabbat, and he knows there's religious people around him, and he's still Mechalel Shabbat, after millions of speeches around and fighting about it and all kinds of noise everywhere against it, and he continued to be Mechalel Shabbat, is 100% like a goy. And everything that you say goy is not allowed, same thing applies to him. So in other words, if a goy wants to be one of the 10 from the minyan, you cannot count him. The same thing, you cannot count that Jew.
בפרהסיה?
Befaresia, there's no Mechalelei Shabbat in hidden rooms anymore. 8 years ago, someone wanted to be Mechalel Shabbat, he used to hide, because he was embarrassed, because everyone was Shomrei Shabbat. So he's the minority, he's embarrassed to smoke or to talk on a phone on the street. But today, since the majority in Israel and here and everywhere else, it's not Shomrei Shabbat, nothing to be embarrassed. They brag that they're not Shomer Shabbat. Do you know any? Can you show me one Jew in the world that only is Mechalel Shabbat when he hides?
Yeah, if his family.
We're not talking kids off the derech. They're afraid from their father smacks.
But we still have to know if it's b'sin'ah, it's not the Pharisee.
Now, let me tell you something. Look, this is another common mistake. Your question, I see where it comes from. The halacha says, Mechalel Shabbat befaresia, someone that is violating Shabbat in public. Does that mean that someone who is Mechalel Shabbat in his home only is better than someone who's Mechalel Shabbat in public? The answer is no. He deserves stoning, and that's what they used to do in the time of Bet HaMikdash. No different how he's Mechalel Shabbat. Mechalel Shabbat, he knows what he does is against the law, and he does it, death by execution, by stoning. So why he keeps saying befaresia, befaresia? Anyway, it doesn't make a difference. The answer is because if it's in public, there are witnesses to that who can come and testify against him. If it's only in his home, there's a doubt. We don't know exactly what he did. We hear music from his home. Maybe he put Shaon Shabbat. Maybe he was there from Friday, from last night, from before Shabbat. Maybe there's a guy working in his house, so he turned the radio on. There's a lot of maybes. We don't know for sure. Not that we're now going to get married with him. We know he's Mechalel Shabbat. But there's no actions we can take against him unless if we know that he does it on the street, which means he has no shame. No shame, no nothing. That's already, it's a bigger chutzpah. But the sin and the crime is the same crime. So even if I know, for instance, that there's a Jew who Mechalel Shabbat only in his home, but he told me the secret, and another person know, we are already two witnesses against him. There was enough in the old days to execute him. So therefore, when they say Mechalel Shabbat befaresia, it means that everybody knows as Mechalel Shabbat. He comes to the shul, everyone knows, not to treat him as Shomer Shabbat. But if nobody knows, because he never does it on the public, and they only suspect, they still have to treat him like a Jew, because there's only a suspicion. That's the only difference here. Other than that, there's no really difference. Now, where is a bigger mitzvah? You have now brit milah, and you have brit milah, nagid, let's say in LA, that you have to fly there, and if you fly there, you're going to miss the wedding. You have wedding and brit milah, and they collide with each other. Which one is a higher mitzvah, to go to a wedding or to go to brit milah?
Wedding. Little kid's not gonna know you're there.
Chatuna, it's also deoraita.
Chatuna is what? To enjoy the husband and wife. It's midrabanan, it's not the doraita. Kiddushin is not the...
The answer where they need you the most.
What if they don't need you anywhere?
What mitzvah is to go to a brit milah? What's the mitzvah?
Good question here. When you come to brit milah, you're not the mohel, so you're not doing the mitzvah of circumcision. You're not the father. What mitzvah you do actually? Besides giving respect to the father of the boy. Nah, but that's not mitzvah.
What if you ask for
Or come to the wedding. Today, most people goes to the wedding to check the food. What's here? You know, the buffet, how everyone push. And they say, why do you go to the wedding? Mitzvah, lesameach chatan vekala. He doesn't even know who the chatan vekala is. He only know how the steak came out. But if he really goes for that reason, then obviously it's more important mitzvah than to go to brit milah. No question here. Because now it's mamash, lesameach chatan vekala. So, Technically, basically, if both of them need you equally or none of them need you, let's say, and you have to choose between the two, then the wedding will be more. Then, the meal that we do in a circumcision, does it have to be attached to the brit, or it can be in another date? The Seudat mitzvah of Brit Milah. It can be later and in a different place as long as it's in the same day. If it goes already to another day, that's it. There's no connection to the Brit anymore. I remember that my friend had a boy and the Brit fell on, I think, Asara B'Tevet, fast day. What are you going to do? So he made a very, very fancy meal at night, which was better than any wedding I ever went. You see, these fancy people, they're looking for a reason to make fancy. But he's not going to do it 9 o'clock a.m. in a big hall with a band, with, with all this show off. Because it's 9 in the morning, people have to go to work. So he would make a meal in a shul. Because it was postponed to the night, he took advantage on it and he made... You should see what an event. My friend married a Goya. They had a kid, and he decided to circumcise him with mohel and everything. And he's forcing me to participate. If not, you're not my friend. You know the story. You have to prove to me you're my friend. You owe me. I helped you. When you were down, I helped you out. I did a lot for you. Thanks to me, you're alive. I saved your life. I married you with your wife. They have enough reasons why he's supposed to participate in this Brit Milah. The answer, no matter what the case is, participating in such a Brit Milah, it's a big sin, very big sin. Same thing, participating in a mixed wedding, it's a very big sin. Very big sin. Some ladies, they say, Rabbi, but I'm not a man. For me, it doesn't matter if I see some women dance not modestly. It doesn't matter about modesty is only one of the issues here. It's called mechazek yedei ovrei avera. By participating in the party is more successful, they get more strength in their sin. You're becoming a sinner just as they are by participating with them, even if you're a woman. Why? Because now, for instance, there's newspapers that show pictures of ladies that are naked or not modest, whatever the case is. You may say, okay, obviously a religious man cannot buy these newspapers, but what his wife? She reads the news. She doesn't care about these pictures. Not true, because by her buying this newspaper become wealthy, and they stay in business longer. If nobody would buy them, put them on a ban, they'll go bankrupt, and this evilness would go away from the world. So anything you do to help the sinners, directly or indirectly, makes you a part of the sin. That's why you have to be very careful. There's millions of cases like this, that people don't pay attention. Same thing, a business that open on Shabbat. There's a question, are you allowed to buy there in a weekday? No. Better not to. Why? Because if you buy there in a weekday, he stays stronger in business, then he'll continue to open more Shabbatot. And more, and more, and more. Now, Brit Milah that falls on Shabbat, and I know all my relatives and family would come with cars to the shul, because they live far, we have to do it in the shul. Should I do it on Shabbat anyway, knowing many Jews would drive on Shabbat, or I have to postpone it to Sunday?
Torah says the 8th day.
Torah says the 8th day.
What happens outside of it is not in your hands.
Don't tell
Torah
them.
says the 8th day.
Your house to sleep over. Don't invite them. You can't invite anyway.
The answer is postpone to Sunday. Who said that? Who said that? You're holding the chair? Rav Ovadia Yosef, Rav Eliashiv, Rav Wosner, the 3 biggest poskim in the world, unanimously. Rav Eliashiv in Kovetz Bet HaMidrash Tammuz Tafshin Aleph Amud Bet, Ayin Bet, and Yalkut Yosef, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Resh Samech, Kuf Ayin Aleph, Shelot V'Tshuvot Shevet HaLevi, that's Rav Wosner, Resh Hey Shin Lamed Aleph. That's the sources. Just to show you how horrible it is to be Mechalel Shabbat. That they postponed Brit Milah, like Akash Baruch Hu said that it must be on the 8th day.
How's if you rent rooms for them? Rent 50 rooms in the hotel, and you're welcome to come.
So you spend $50,000 because you have wicked friends.
Depends, if you could make 100, make it pay.
I tell you, I have a better news for you.
What?
The amount that it would cost him to rent an hotel and to bring everyone to the hotel, that the Brit will be in a hotel, which will cost him a lot of money, he can give them enough CDs for 1% of the price to make them religious, that he doesn't have to rent hotel again and again and again. It's going to save a lot of money.
Rabbi, how would the Rabbi able to override what I said?
Huh?
How would the Rabbi override what I said?
Waarom Mechal Shabbos is better?
That's what I said.
Yeah, but he's saving 100 of Mechal Shabbos.
Shofar, lulav, and many others, if it falls on Shabbat. Now, what is the source that... What, there's another floor in this building? Huh? There's upstairs?
Maybe they find
I never knew. Very good. It's someone that has to do Brit Milah to his baby on Shabbat. He just heard it, so he's jumping. It says, what's the source? 1 week a mouse, 1 week jumping. What's the source that you go to the Sandak in a Brit Milah to get a blessing from him? Does it have a source? Or it's one of these customs that nobody knows where it come from?
Custom. It's not made of custom.
The answer, unclear. Unclear. It's more by the Sfaradim. Sfaradim, right away everyone goes to the Sandak. Can you be Sandak twice to the same parents? One baby and then again and have another baby, they call you again to be Sandak? The answer, yes. Allowed. Can we call a kid today Ishmael? Ishmael was the founder of all Arabs. So he did a lot of good in the world, Ishmael. The question is, that particular Ishmael, the Torah says he made tshuva in the end of his days. So he didn't die Rasha like he was most of his life. We also see in the Gemara that there was one of the biggest rabbis in the history, Asara Aruge Malchut. His name was Rabbi Ishmael, a few other. So can we call a baby Ishmael today or no?
Yeah.
The answer, from the law of the Torah, yes. But from the law of common sense, no. Why? You want the whole world to laugh at your kid? Why are you calling him a strange name or a name that people would look, what? Ishmael? He won't be able to say his name every time in a class. Cutie, what's your name? Shimon.
There was something talking about names. Family named their children Adolf Hitler. They weren't, Jewish, and another. And they celebrated their children's birthday with these names. Well, they were taken to court, and the court said they could not use those names because those people were evil. And that is an English thing that happened about a year or so ago that I read. So it is against even, the English law to name, children.
But let me tell you something. The world is full of anti-Semites and Nazis, and most of the people in the world anti-Semites, most of them. We're talking about 4 billion people at least. Do you think they care to call their son Adolf or Yasser or all these names? For them it's an honor. That's their heroes. They read their books, they join their ideology. So for them, we have our heroes, they have their heroes.
How about Führer?
Huh?
Führer.
Führer also, same thing.
It's like
All the things that, all those bad names, it's bad in the eyes of decent people, but the monsters admire those names. Well, obviously, we cannot control what they do.
About Esau.
Do you ever see a Jew that his name is Esav?
The gangster.
Next. Shh. How is it possible that the Ashkenazim call their children by names of animals? Tzvi, Aryeh. Where this custom came from? And it's Chayot Meot, like lion, Aryeh. It's a Chayat Me'ah. How? Now it's already a custom. In the beginning, who was the first Ashkenazi in Europe that decided to call his son Aryeh?
He wasn't religious.
The census, okay. Originally the census.
In the Torah, we have Chamor, Shem, Chamor. We have names of animals by the Goyim, we have. But in Judaism, we have Ze'ev, Aryeh, and Tzvi. Tzvi, it's Chaya Teora. Ze'ev and Aryeh, it's Chayot Meot. Or Dov, same thing. It's Chayot Meot. Oh, but in Hebrew, there's another question. How do you call ladies Devora? Dvora, it's also impure.
what? Bee is honey. What? Yeah, honey.
The answer, find a Ashkenazi rabbi who knows the history of Ashkenaz to answer. I don't know. I don't know how it started. A woman wants to call her son from her second marriage after her first husband who passed away for whatever reason. Is it something decent to do because now she's married to another man? So she should call her first son or one of the sons after her husband? Or it's better not to do?
Shouldn't be a problem.
It depends on the husband. If he doesn't want it.
Let the father.
No, the question obviously, if her husband say, I want you to call this thing after your husband that died, then obviously it's not a question here. We're talking is it smart for her to even suggest it to her husband? He may say, okay, but all his life he will eat his heart that she wanted to name after her first husband. So the question is it clever to even suggest it or not to take the risk?
Father should name the baby.
Not to take the risk.
It's the same thing. She wants to be buried after the first husband, next to the first husband. Is this allowed?
Excuse me?
Married the second husband. Now she rose the tzua. I want to be buried next to my first husband. Could she do that?
What happened if it was already written in her will? They bought 2 graves. She didn't know he's gonna die. They bought graves together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big question.
So you should be okay?
Well, if it would happen to me, I wouldn't even tell him that I have already a grave next to the husband.
You wouldn't say it.
Keep it for the time of need. What's the point? 40 years to suffer? Move your grave from there.
Oh, you know, he's gonna die before then.
Huh?
Well, you know, he's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, she may be in a maybe she's in a business of bearing husbands. Next question. Is it good to call the kid Shalom? So Shalom is one of the names of God. Because sometimes you know he's in a bathroom, you call Shalom or whatever, maybe in a mikveh.
That's what they say.
It's the name of God. Huh?
They say Shalom.
Disrespectful to talk
Sure,
about it.
yes, sure.
It's disrespectful, but the people do it. Now the question is, since people would do it, and we know they will do it. So the question is it better not to call him or no? That's the question.
This DVT could help, so what's the answer?
The answer, when people call their children Shalom, they don't really mean God. They mean peace. This is a word that has two meanings. One meaning is God, one meaning means peace. Do you know someone who calls his kid God?
Yael.
I know somebody by the name God.
God? No, not God in Hebrew. Not God. Not God in Hebrew, in English.
G-A-D.
A father in a circumcision of his son made a mistake. You know how they were fighting about the name, that. So when the rabbi that named the baby asked him, Mikare Shmo Israel, his name will be, he wanted to say Shlomo, accidentally say Shalom. Out of thing. And they said, no, Shlomo.
Too late.
Is it too late? Once the rabbi said the name, that's it? Or it can be changed?
Talk to the kid.
3 second rule, huh?
It can be changed.
Within 3 seconds, huh?
Talk to the
The answer, it can be changed. As long as you're together in the same event. But if you went home, and you remember, what did I say? I wanted Shlomo. Then you have to come on Shabbat to the shul and make a rename. When a person changes his name or add a name, what is the right way to do it? Because there's no more circumcision. It was done already. How do you name the baby again? The answer is, you do it in shul on Shabbat, and after they make Mishe Berach 3 times to this kid with the new name, that's the real name already. Because names are very important, because you have to know what to write in a ketubah. If you had one name, and now you change it to another name unofficially, you decided. Some people make their kids, you know how many times people came to me and said, what's your name? Danny. I call him Danny for years. Oh, after a while, actually my name is really not Danny, it's Yaakov. Now what are you going to write in a ketubah? Danny, Yaakov. Nobody ever heard is Yaakov. Big problem.
What about a daughter? A daughter.
Same thing. In a shul, you name her in shul. We are in a hospital and the nurse is asking for the name of the baby. But we didn't give the name yet because the brit is in 8 days. They want to fill up the paper for America, for Obama to know that he has a new customer to pay tax, joining the wagon. So now can we tell him, or we will apply later, which is a big headache later, to fill up the paperwork? If we have a name that we know we're going to choose, can we just give them the name right now, and then when the rabbi will ask us the name, we'll give it to him in a brit milah, or it's bad luck, or it's against the halacha?
Today they're writing Baby Goldberg.
They write Baby Goldberg today? So when do you replace the baby to a real name?
To give you a tape, send it to work.
Yeah? All right, so obviously it can be done later. The question is it any sin, it's any restriction? The answer, they can give the name, no problem. Anyway, the name is not officially his name until the brit milah. So therefore, it doesn't add or doesn't think. It doesn't say anything. And even if they decided to change the name, doesn't matter. So on the paper will be Yitzchak, and on the paper will be Yaakov. Whatever they decide on the brit milah. A name, does it affect the righteousness of a person or no?
Yes.
From the Gemara, we have cases like this that we do see. That the name, like Nimrod. Nimrod means let's rebel against someone. Nimrod. Mered, it's rebellion. So he was very big Rasha. He was Mored be'Hashem, rebelled against Hashem. Kidor is a goy in a hotel that he stole the money from the rabbis. One of the rabbis didn't want to give him money. They asked him, why you don't trust him? Because he says his name is Kidor, and there's a verse in the Torah, Kidor ta'apuchot hema. Speaking about the generation, Kidor, because it's a generation of wicked people, he didn't want to give it to him. And in the end, he stole their money. So we see in the Torah that the name is very important. If that's the case, how the name Ishmael didn't help to make him righteous? Ishmael means God would listen. He did everything the opposite of God. There was big Rasha. Or sometimes we had people with good names, like, no, with bad names, people that had bad names, and they ended up being good. So the answer is, there's always a rule, and there's an exception to the rule. An exception to the rule can be even 15% of the cases. It's still considered exception to the rule, up to 16%. Up to 16%, it's considered a small minority. More than, for instance, if you go to buy something in a store, and the average price for this item is $100. Every goy, Muhammad, Vini, Tony, everyone sells it for about $100. Now you come to Yoisale, he has a store, and he wants 130. Usually you have to buy from your brothers, but he wants 30% more. You're still obligated to buy from him because he's a Jew? No. The answer is no. But what happens if he charge 110? Then yes. Why? Up to 16% more, shishit. Up to 16% more, it counts almost no difference. More than that, it's a problem. What happens if it's $1 million item? Big difference, $10 million, no? No. Based on this rule, he makes extra $10 million on every item. I mean, extra 160,000 on every item. Very good business, no? To take advantage on a halacha. That's called naval birshut Torah. Taking advantage on a Torah law. That's what it means. So if the amount is really, really substantial, you can buy from somewhere else. If it goes to such big number, we're talking average things, 50, 100, 20. What's the difference? $5 here, $20 there, it's no big deal. Now,
who made this rule? 16% you're allowed to...
the Chachamim, in a Talmud.
What if the parent doesn't approve if his son changes his name? Because the rabbi told the person to change his name, but the parent that gave the name to his son doesn't approve and made very super
Depend on the case. What was the first name and what was the new name? First, Shaltiel was the first name? Shaltiel? Shaked, no.
He changed it to Mordechai.
Oh, because Shaked, it's not a name.
And he changed it to
Shaked means amen. Huh?
But Shaked is also Harut. It's Aaron and also Harut.
Shakdan. Well, Shakdan. Shaked and Shakdan, it's two different words.
My father, refused to accept this name, and he doesn't call him the new name, and he's very, very, very upset that his own son changed the name that the father gave him. I gave you the name, and you went and changed it.
He doesn't like the name Mordechai?
He doesn't like it. He makes fun of it. He doesn't approve. He never called him the new name.
All right, so, many things the parents are against what their children do. So the idea is like this. If the kids do something positive according to the Torah and Halacha, they don't have to worry what the parents think or say. If they do against the Torah, then they have to worry. if they do something that is not for the Torah and not against the Torah. It's not relevant. It's not a sin and it's not a mitzvah. Then they have to respect the parents. When it's 50-50, then comes the mitzvah of kibud av va'em. In other words, if you wanted to change the name from Shaked to Maim, both of them are not names of people. So that means now the parents come and they argue. We gave you this name Shaked and you're changing your name to Afarsek. They get angry, right? So then that's already problem with kibud orim, because anyway he didn't gain anything by changing the name. Besides that he thinks it's a more beautiful name. That's why he changed it to that name. But over here he changed it from no name to a kosher Jewish name. First one in the Tanakh that is named Yehudi Mordechai.
Parents' feelings are hurt. I give you a name when you were born.
Do you know how many parents are angry that their kids shomer Shabbat, that they eat strictly kosher, that they...
There's no problem with that.
there's all kinds of problems like this. What can we do? If I would be him, if he knew that his parents would get upset, he shouldn't even tell them that he changed the name.
No, he changed it to that Zeut. He changed the name to that Zeut.
טוב, השם ירחם.
The family call him in a new name, only his wife and his children and his community. I have my brother until age 30 with a name. I can change, now call him Mordechai. All his life he was Shaked, now I can call him, who's Mordechai? I don't know Mordechai.
What's the big deal?
Because his rabbi wanted that. So I can't. I call him Mordechai.
Shaked sounds very weird. It's a very weird name.
Not in Israel, not in Israel.
Rabbi, what about, if, again, a different situation, but with the girl's name? There's a girl named Shira Bracha, okay? And,
Rav Chaim Kanievsky say that Shira it's not a name.
so, but the thing is, but the parents named the girl Shira Bracha. So, wait a minute.
No, Bracha, it is a name,
No,
Bracha.
but Shira Bracha.
Yeah.
So the thing is, so then they brought the list of girls that wanted to get, for marriage, give a bracha to get married.
Yeah.
And so then he went down the list and he saw the name Shira Bracha. The Shira, not a name.
Rav Chaim Kanievsky.
Huh?
Are you talking about Rav? Yeah.
The thing is that but the parents named the girl Shira Bracha.
Right.
So what?
Tzipporah.
For the parents.
What happened if the parents would call her a table, shulchan? So he's going to say, מי שבירך אבותינו אברהם יצחק, הוא יברך את שולחן בת שרה. The parents call her shulchan. They call her. Parents can call her a chair. They call her a camera.
But don't the parents have the prophecy and naming their own children?
Not necessarily.
But I thought that the parents.
If that's the case, how parents call their children Herzl? How they call their kids in Israel Nimrod? It's the worst name in history. Do you want to say that Hashem gave in the mind of the father to call his son Herzl or Nimrod?
That's Tzipporah. Tzipporah is a bird.
Tzipor? Or Tzipora?
Tzipporah, a girl.
Tzipora, it's a good name.
Yes?
Yes?
How much?
She doesn't call Tzipora because she was a tzipor.
It's a bird.
Tzipor, it's a bird, yeah.
What is the problem with Shira?
No problem at all. It's just not a name. It's not a bad name. It's no name. It's like you call your girl Menorah. It's not a curse. Menorah, the menorah of Bet HaMikdash. No, you know what? Someone challenged Rav Chaim Kanievsky about it. He went to him and said, Rabbi, it's a word from the Torah, Shira. Shirat Hayam. So he said to him, oh, in the Torah there's also the word ken. Ken. Like nest. Ken la tzipor. So you call it, there's table in the Torah. He gave all kinds of words in the Torah. He said, this is also in the Torah. So call him table, call him nest, call him water.
Devorah is, you said B.
Devorah.
Devorah, okay.
Remember what I say? I referred you to an Ashkenazi specialist to explain. But no, on Dvorah, it's actually before Ashkenaz started. It's in the Tanakh. There was that's a unanimous problem now, not only a European problem. Maybe her name Devorah is not after the B. Devorah comes from the word Dvar Hashem. Dvar Hashem. She was a prophet. She was speaking the words of Hashem. So maybe that's the case here. You reminded me. He just reminded me something. I used to learn with Rabbi Ashkenazi, big tzaddik, amazing person. So one time we learned Chumash, we learned the Parsha. It was many, many years ago, at least 20 years ago. I wasn't aware of the Ashkenazi accent yet. So he said to me, and the malach nitzav bepesach hadeles. So I'm thinking to myself, what did he just say? I don't understand what he said. What does the angel has to do with Pesach? We're talking about something else here now. I'm thinking, Pesach, what's Pesach has to do with this? And I'm embarrassed to ask. And he see that so you got it? I say, I don't understand. What does it have to do with Pesach? He said, Pesach. He's pointing at the door. Until I got the point, I said to him, oh, Pesach. Petach. He said, oh yes, Petach. I said to him, fine. Pesach or Petach, it's not such a big deal. The problems become bigger when it becomes Hayom Haras Olam.
Yes.
That's already a big problem. I told that to one Ashkenazi tzaddik in Monsey. I told him, how do you read this sentence? He said, Hayom Haras Olam. I said to him, Hashem destroyed the world today? Hashem built the world today. He didn't destroy the world today. Haras Olam. He said, wow, God like this. Wow. Since then, he got very careful. He doesn't say Haras. You have to say Harat, like the American TH. Ta. Harat. Yes. Then, shh. There's other problems. For instance, we say, "V'lo niga larik, v'lo neled labe'ala." We say every morning in a tefillah. "Lo niga larik," you have to pronounce it correctly. It's really nira, not niga. But the Hebrew, modern Hebrew, messed it up. When you say "lo niga larik," lagat means to touch. So it changed the meaning of the verse. It's like we should not touch for nothing. But that's not what it means. Lo niga, with the dagesh in a gimel, it means we should not get tired for nothing. All the energy that we put in the Torah and mitzvot will be aimed to the right direction. That's what we're asking. But when you do not pronounce the word correctly, you change the meaning of the get tired into to touch, which completely doesn't make any sense. What does it mean? We should not touch for nothing. Touch what? There's a lot of mistakes like this. That's one of the punishments of the exiles. That no one knows how to talk 100% correctly like it was in the original way. No one. Not Ashkenazim, not Hasidim, not Sfaradim, not Temanim. No one knows. Everyone thinks his is the best. But in reality, no one really knows how to talk properly because of the exile. We moved from here, we had the influence of the Goyim. We have some new CDs, grab before they finish. You need, right.
Rabbi, the cultures around the Middle East, because the Torah is built all in the Middle East. So all the Middle Easters really should have a better idea.
Obviously, that the speaking of the Middle East is more correctly than the speaking of Europe. That's no question about it. Because that's where everything took place. But still, even the speaking of the Middle East is not 100% like it was in the Middle East 3,000 years ago. Next.
Can I
Yeah.
When you call somebody a name, let's say his name is Tzvi, that means he has a shaykhus with a Tzvi?
No.
What?
For sure not. No Ashkenazi father, when he called his son Tzvi or Dov, is thinking to name him after the bear or the deer.
But I mean
But the names, it's names of animals. But of
does it go into the person?
no, he has in mind the big tzaddik that his name is Tzvi or Dov or whatever. Yeah. Eretz HaTzvi, they call it Eretz HaTzvi because the Gemara say that when you stretch it, you can stretch and stretch and stretch. But I also saw the Gemara say that the Tzvi has something unique. When you take the skin out of it, if you want to put him back inside the skin, you can't put him back. It won't let you, which in my opinion looks like a contradiction. Is it stretch non-stop or he doesn't. I don't know. Anyway, next question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's the halacha when it comes to a marriage when the husband has a health condition and is approved for medical marijuana? Is he, and the wife does not want him to use it? What should he do? And he has children too, so obviously he can't use it.
He shouldn't use it. Even if the wife is for it, he shouldn't use it. That's not really a cure. This is a way to cheat the system here in this country. Do you really think it's been proven as productive and it saves the sicknesses of the people? It's only a relief. It's a temporary relief from the stress, the pain, the tension, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't cure the problem. Marijuana does not cure any problem. You cannot find someone that was sick and by taking it became cured. It's only like taking Advil. You have big pain and you're taking the Advil for 3-4 hours, you don't have pain. So therefore, since there are kosher ways to remove pain or to relieve stress, why to go into drugs like this that it's against society? And it's a bad example for children and people are addicted to it and it causes a lot of problems. Why to do it? Plus it smells, plus people think, and plus it makes a very big damage to the brain. Very big damage. It's so obvious that it makes damage to the brain that in my years that I was teaching Gemara in the yeshiva, every Baal Tshuva who used to smoke from it or did other drugs, his brain is messed up. They couldn't understand anything. Nothing. They don't understand the order, they cannot focus. Even they quit. Because they were heavy smokers of that, they made permanent damage to their brain, which is a violation of the Torah. Who has permission to damage his brain? You know?
Can I say something again? I'm sorry about this. There was a case of a little girl in New Jersey, Scotch Plains, who has epilepsy. Medical marijuana was okay for her, but New Jersey wouldn't allow it because the outwater. Colorado okayed it. And with that, the family had to move to Denver, and she is getting better because it's not the marijuana itself that they use. They use the oil part.
THC.
The what?
THC.
Okay, if they use the oil, I don't see a problem here.
Christie will not allow that in New Jersey.
Even the oil they don't allow?
No, he said no. So they had to move to Denver, and she's getting much better. So where she had epileptic seizures about 10 times a day, it went down gradually.
So if there's a way to take it as like pills without all the smoke and that, then we have to reconsider. Well, obviously, you know that I was in Denver a few months ago, and the guy that was driving me around was giving me an idea. He said to me, Denver is the most developing economy in the United States. It's the state that does the best. They build, they make highways, they build buildings. I said to him, how come? Everything in this country is down, all of a sudden here it's blooming. He said to me, 1 million people moved here in the last year or two. I said to him, why? I still don't get the point. He said, because they allow drugs here. Look how the American people think. I'll be able to smoke drugs. He moves his entire family, take his children out of the school, losing his job, starting from zero. What a sacrifice! Wow. You know, mamash, they deserve a huge yishar koach. I'm not talking about the sick things. The 1 million people, they're not sick, I promise you. They're sick in their mind, maybe. Not in their body.
Because if they're allowed to do it, they're allowed to sell it.
Yeah, that's what it is. The government already collected tens of millions of dollars in taxes on it because they sell it in stores.
I have another question.
Wait, let's move on. An attack of questions all of a sudden. Is Cohen allowed to learn to be a doctor? What's the question here? In medical school, they teach him about dead bodies. They showing dead bodies, I guess.
Dead body.
Huh?
Germany doesn't work on dead bodies.
Who doesn't?
Germany.
Germany? Germany works on living bodies. But the problem is that while they're learning, it becomes a dead body.
The only country.
Yeah. So the answer is wow. As we speak, I just learned a trick how a Kohen will be able to do it. Listen to this, Rabbi. The Rav Goren used to be the chief rabbi of Tzahal, the Israeli army. I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, something like that. He gave an idea how the Kohen will be able to learn medicine. How he has to ask from his friend to take a key and make the key touch a dead body. Once the key touch a dead body, this key has a din, has a status of Avi Avot Tum'ah. There's Avi Avot Tum'ah, there's Ava Tum'ah, there's Rishon Le Tum'ah, there's different levels of Tum'ah. Tum'ah means impurity. Then the Kohen put it in a necklace on his neck, and anyway he's already in a constant touch with Avi Avot Tum'ah. because it's שעת הדחק, יכול לסמוך על השיטה שבמצב זה מותר לו להיטמא הלאה. Since he's already impure now, he can count on it to continue to touch something that has the impurity of a dead body. Rav Moshe Feinstein say, nonsense, gurnish. Don't take this advice. One of his Talmidim was a Kohen. He asked Rav Soloveitchik, can we count on an advice of a big rabbi that found a trick how to circumvent this limitation? Rabbi Soloveitchik asked him, it's a disgrace of the Torah to even think to allow such a thing. Here you go. So now you have to decide what you want to do. It's reality that there are many doctors that are Kohen. It's reality. How they did it, only Hashem knows. If somebody can lower the heat, that would be nice. In the army or in yeshiva, they have shifts. People have a shift that they have to clean the kitchen, the bathroom. Every once in a while, people have to do their job. Once a week, it's your turn. Are we allowed to include the Cohanim in a service, or we dismiss them? Because Kohen is the superb family in this world. This is the children of Moshe and Aaron. They came from the most important family. And therefore, as we can see that the Torah says that Kohen has a special status. You always give him first, you respect him. There's a lot of things. So the question is, if everybody lives in a dorm and there's one Kohen is going to clean the bathroom for the people. So is it permitted to include them as regular people, or they have to get like a royal treatment?
Include them.
Too bad of a reduction.
The answer, it's only allowed if they serve the Kohen also. So in other words, if they only make the Kohen serve them, it's not allowed. That's what's not allowed. But if it's exchange, you're getting 6-day services from us, and you're giving 1-day service. So we do a lot more for you, all of us as a group. So actually, your service buys for you a much bigger service, which without you doing it, we won't do anything for you, right? Therefore, it's allowed. Is a Kohen allowed to give up his keuna? Is there any way to dismiss his keuna that he'll be able to get married to a divorced woman?
No.
The answer, the same way a Jew cannot give up his Judaism, whether he wants or not, it's not relevant. You're a Jew, you're born a Jew, you die a Jew. You can count as a goy, but you get judged as a Jew. In other words, you lose from both sides. with the privileges and the benefits, you lose all of them because you're not Jewish. And the requirements and the punishments, you get all of them like you're a Jew. So you basically bolt from both sides. That's an Israeli expression, kereach mishnei tzdadim, which means I tried here, and then I decided over there will be better. So when I moved there, both of them kicked me out, and I left with nothing. At least I had one in my hand. Now I don't have anything. So there's no way. There's a rule in the creation, only allowed to increase holiness, not to decrease. Ma'alim b'kodesh. You're born a Jew, it's the highest holiness. You cannot go into a goy, it's less. You cannot do it. You're born a Kohen, you cannot go down to be a Levi, and Levi cannot go down to be Israel. There's levels of holiness. You're born in a certain level, you cannot lower your holiness that God created you with you. That's rebelling against the king. Now,
Not too much restrictions on the lady. What restrictions are there?
no, they don't have restriction, but they have service. They have to service the Cohanim. They have to do all kinds. In time of Bet HaMikdash, they were in a choir, they sing, they do other things. Shh. A wife of a Kohen that she's pregnant, which means the baby is a Kohen, if he's a boy. There's no way to know yet. She did not do a sonogram. And even on a sonogram, I don't know if today, but 5 years ago you couldn't count to know for sure the sex of the baby. Now maybe they became 3D, maybe you can see already, I don't know, things, technology developed. By the time I finish the lecture, probably they invent something new. So I don't know anymore. But I know the last time I saw a picture of a sonogram, definitely is no way to know, it was 5 years ago. So according to 5 years ago, which means 2009, some people would watch this lecture in 10 years from now. They would think 5 years ago then they would say, what is he talking about? You can already see the baby is blinking. What is he talking about? So the question is now, is she allowed to go into grave cemetery to pray by the grave of the tzaddik because she has a Kohen male? Maybe she has a Kohen male in her stomach. Allowed or not allowed?
It doesn't exist yet. It has no deen.
The answer, of course, it's allowed. Why? As long as the baby did not take his head out of his mother's body, it's considered one organ from her body, which means there's really no baby yet as far as treating him as a separate individual. There's life there, there's pulse, there is a soul, of course. But since he's still connected and his life is coming from the body of his mother, it's like taking the kidney out. So if you have to go with your kidney into the cemetery, it's a kidney of a woman. What's the problem? So it's allowed. Even if you know today for sure that the sonogram show is a boy, it's still allowed to go.
Pregnant women should go to the cemetery. Pregnant women should not go to the cemetery.
That's already a custom. We're asking halacha now. Halacha allowed to go. Not recommended to go, of course. Pregnant women in general shouldn't go to cemetery at all time, anytime, anywhere. It's not good. Even men should never go to cemetery unless if you really has obligation to go, funeral or yortzeit. Better not to go. Tzaddikim is a little bit different. We're talking cemetery. Cemetery, it's the whole gang, you know. Tzaddik and some people that are not such big tzaddikim. There's a lot of impurity inside the cemetery. Better to do as much as you can, never to go there. That's it. Now, Cohen got angry at his wife, was fuming, he wrote her a get, and a week later he eats his heart, he wants to get her back. Even though it's mitzvah to get back your divorcee, but Cohen cannot be married to a divorced woman. Or should we say, with an exception, if it was his own wife?
Maybe he wrote in anger.
I know somebody in that case.
Can't take it back.
What if he wrote in anger?
I know somebody that was in that
That doesn't matter.
category.
Yes.
Count.
He missed the train. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm a Kohen and my wife wants me to stand next to her when she's giving birth. But it's known that Cohanim should not go into the hospitals because there's dead bodies over there. What do I do?
Epidural.
That's an argument. Some say Kohen is not allowed to go into the hospital at all. Maybe there's a dead body. It's not a guarantee that right now there's a dead body. And some say that he's allowed to go for a dvar mitzvah. If he goes to comfort someone who's dying or someone who's about to die, he needs to teach him how to do vidui or all these things, to go, to tell him and to run. The problem is what's going to be if he's going to die in the middle. The Kohen immediately become impure. There's no way to know. If his eyes are closed, how do you know if he's alive or not? Until the machine beep? Of course, better not to go. We're talking now, he must go. I don't know, Chas v'Shalom, his son is in a surgery. He wants to go there to cheer him up, to make him strong.
Question, you said before, if you have a yortzeit, you should not go to the cemetery?
I say, if there is no choice, you go. Better not to go.
Yortzeit, or your father's yortzeit, you should not go?
Funeral, you have to go.
The cloud, keep it out there?
No, funeral, you have to go. Your side, your side, you don't have to go to the cemetery.
Even if it's your father?
Even if the father, you can do it in a shul, you gather the people, you do limud mishnayot. Most people do it in shuls, they don't go to the cemetery. They go, I know. Also Sfaradim go. I say better not to go to the cemetery.
Yeah, but there's a thing that they're going Erev Rosh Chodesh.
Erev Chodesh. Kivrot Tzadikim. That's a different story. Kivrot Tzadikim is a different status, different argument. Now, shh.
So this is Shalom Bayit with the wife, you said.
Huh?
And maybe it's a life risk when a woman's giving birth. Maybe it's okay for the Kohen to keep Shalom Bayit and...
Yeah, that's why I said that according to one opinion, it's allowed. Because to go to Dvar Mitzvah, it's allowed. Shh. Now, where is the grave of Bila and Zilpa? They're also the two mothers. Two mothers. You know, it's very interesting how the Torah speaks about four mothers and they forgot about them. The Pilagshim. The Pilagshim, they forgot about them. Where is their graves? The answer, no one knows. No one knows. Hashem didn't think it's important enough to write it in the Torah. It's interesting.
But the Riyah Kudesh was Megala, all the Kvurim. How come he didn't Megala this?
Kvarim of the men he did, not Kvarim of... I don't think he discovered graves of the women. Then, shh. We're almost done with part 2 of this thing, and we have one more part to finish it. So 2/3 is behind us.
You get all night.
The graves of the sons of Yaakov, the Shvatim, besides Yosef that we know for sure that he was brought to Shechem, to Nablus, where are they buried? All of them, Gad, Zvulun, Naphtali, Issachar, where are they buried? The Midrash says, which is oral Torah, they brought their bones to Eretz Israel. The Arabs claim that they have tradition in their culture where they buried. We, the Jews, don't have. We didn't keep track. If it was known to us where they buried, we know for sure, the Midrash say they were brought to Eretz Israel. But we don't know exactly where they are. We don't have it in our tradition. Are we allowed to bury in levels, one above the other? One is 20 feet in the ground, one is 15 feet in the ground, one is 10 feet in the ground, to save room. There's not enough room. You make the cemetery the size of Disneyland?
They're doing it now in Eretz Yisrael. They said they're doing it.
They're doing it now. The question is, they do a lot of things that is not good. Is it good or no?
Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow is the resurrection.
The answer, Rav Eliashiv and Rav Wozner does not allow. Rav Mordechai Eliyahu and Rav Ovadia Yosef allowed. So it's an argument between big Chachamim. So if you have an opinion of Rav Eliashiv and Rav Wozner that it's not allowed, who would take that risk? Giant Chachamim that have a doubt about it.
Not cover a mess?
Let's see.
Cover a mess, huh?
The custom of Rav Yosef Soloveitchik and the Beta Levi and Rav Chaim Ibrisk was not to go to grave of righteous people, like the Gra say. The Gra, one of the most important Ashkenazi rabbis in history. And he was also a very big Kabbalist. So you know from both sides, Pshat and Kabbalah. Say not to go to graves of tzaddikim. And they also had another explanation why they don't go. That he would not look like he's worshipping the dead. That's what people do today. They go to worship dead bodies, graves. You have to go to the grave of this tzaddik, you have to go to Russia, you have to go to Syria.
What about the Uman? Yeah, the Uman.
Yeah, the Uman. That's what I meant, Russia. What do you think when I say Russia?
Oh.
Okay, now, the Satmar Rebbe also did not want his Talmidim to go, except in a Yortzeit. Yortzeit he allowed. Other than that, he said not to go. Chabad depends if there is a grave there, because according to some Chabad, he never died. So you go talk to the stone. There's no neshama there, according to them.
Not the Rebbe sent to Yaakov Yosef's
Where does he walk?
Huh?
Sent to Yaakov Yosef's grave. Something like that.
Are we allowed to write the Latin date on a grave, like December 12, 2003? Or only the Hebrew date has to be? What do you think? The answer, not allowed.
Only Hebrew.
Only Hebrew.
Why?
What should I do with the tooth that was pulled out? Kid or adult? I have it in my hand. What should I do? Do I have to bury it as a part of the body that was cut off? You have to bury? Or tooth doesn't have tumor and you can do whatever you want with that? The answer, you send it to Muhammad as a birthday gift.
You put it in a glass of Coca-Cola.
You put it in a glass of Coca-Cola to teach your children the damage of Coca-Cola to their tooth, to their teeth. 2-3 days later, there's nothing in.
Go and drink it.
Tooth fairy.
A woman that is pregnant, she wants to come to a yortzeit in a cemetery. Is she allowed or no?
No.
The answer, min adin en isur. Lechatchila halacha, she's allowed. There's a book called Ma'avar Yabok that he says she should not do it, not allowed to do it. But technically, as we said, it's allowed. But if you go according to Kabbalah, it's a very, very not recommended thing to do. Are we allowed to go to the cemetery at night? Or since it's Midat Adin, it's judgment after sunset, better not to go to a place of a judgment. Judgment and judgment. Answer, allowed. Allowed, not recommended though. Allowed, not recommended. Also, you know, they had a guy who was collecting money for orphans to marry them. So he came to a rich guy, and he said to him that he needs a lot of money for his orphans to marry them. And this guy was a clown. He said to him, you want this money? I'll make a deal with you. I'll give you the money in one condition. You wear this outfit. He gave him black clothes of a priest, Christian priest. You put it on, I give you the money. And he thought, I put it on, what do I care? I get the money for these orphans to marry them. So he put it on, he gave him the money. When he was almost dead, he asked in his will to bury him in these clothes. Because he claimed that it was the biggest mitzvah he ever did in his life. Thanks to that, he got a huge amount of money. He married all these orphans. He put them in kosher places. He established many families. So he said, I want to go to Olam Haba with something significant in my hand. Bury me with these clothes. And they did. A widow that is remarried, and she said to her new husband that she wants to go to the cemetery to the yortzeit of her first husband. Is she allowed, or you can tell her, I don't want, I don't allow? The answer, she's allowed, but it's going to get the new husband upset, which would cause problems in a shlom bayit. So if she's clever, she will go without telling him, if she feels the needs. Technically, she doesn't have to go. That's the whole point here. It's not something that's required by law. She can retail him for him somewhere. You know? She can give tzedakah for him. She can sponsor CD for him. Sponsoring CDs is the greatest thing you can do for deceased people. The greatest. Because it makes a lot of Baalei Tshuva, and all the mitzvot they'll keep for eternity, and their children goes to this deceased account. What can be better than that? Are we allowed to sit Shiva on a secular Jew? Secular Jew, Mechalel Shabbat, died. We're allowed to sit Shiva on him or no? Allowed? We have permission, or it's an obligation?
Permission.
What? You don't have a clear answer about it? So what did you do until now? Halal Shabbos b'Faresia. The law is Rambam, laws of mournings, 1, Halacha Yud, and also in Shulchan Aruch. This is the law. En yoshvim shiva al haporesh midarkei hatzibur. Someone who excluded himself from the Jewish laws, you don't sit shiva on him. The Rambam writes, those are excluded themselves are the people who excluded themselves from the mitzvot, and they are not considered Jews anymore. And the Shulchan Aruch says, they are like the Goyim and the free Gentiles that do whatever they want. That's why they are not a part of the Jewish nation anymore. And someone that got out of the Jewish nation declared by doing that he doesn't want anything to do with Judaism. So, based on that, now I will re-ask my question. We're allowed to sit Shiva on them or no?
Allowed?
I just read to you the law.
Yes.
Allowed, don't have to.
Baalei Tshuva don't sit Tshuva for their parents?
Yeah, you can sit shit up for a guy.
Not righteous.
The answer is, huh?
Person's not righteous.
That's really a hard one. Because reality, when you read the halacha, it doesn't leave a lot of doubts here, that you're not allowed. But the question is, everybody does it today. Everyone sits Shiva. There's one big rabbi in Israel, Rabbi Segal, his name. His brother, when they were young, became secular. He grew up Haredi up to a certain age, and then he went to television, became a reporter, a journalist, became very famous Jewish journalist, and he died a few years ago. And his brother refused to sit Shiva on him. No matter what, he didn't want anything to do with him. Why? Because he not only became a journalist, he became a lefty liberal Jew, anti-Torah and anti-religion. It's one thing to become secular, but still give respect to the Torah and to tradition and do some mitzvot and admit that the Torah is right and you are a loser. Oh, at least you admit there is a point maybe to give you the benefits of the doubt a little bit. But to come and to become an enemy of the Torah and God, that's already a much worse level. So the question is, how do we allow to see Shiva on people like this today? We count on few things. Maybe they are tinokot shenishbu. Maybe they never knew, maybe they didn't learn, maybe they didn't understand how severe it is to be mechalel Shabbat.
Are you allowed to sit Shiva after a couple in the Hitler?
Allowed to sit?
After a couple, you know what a couple is?
Capo, yeah.
Yeah. Are you allowed to sit Shiva?
Capo, it's a problem. Why? If he wouldn't be cruel to the Jews, they'll kill him or they torture him. Yeah. It's not that he wanted to do it out of his will. It's already a problem because, you know, if a person put a gun to your head and tell you beat up another Jew, if not I'll kill you, you're beating him up to save your life, not because you want to beat him up.
They got killed anyhow, yeah.
But they say that some of the couples actually enjoyed it. They got into the job pretty well.
Yeah.
Those obviously not, but the ones that were forced, because you have to understand, even though the Torah says, if they tell you to kill another person, if not we kill you, you're not allowed to kill him. You have to die.
Yeah.
But if a person killed him because he was afraid to die, he violated the rule of the Torah.
Yeah.
But can he get the same exact punishment like a murderer who went to kill someone out of his free will? Obviously, it's not the same crime. Yeah. It's different when you killed someone with a gun to your head. It's either him or you. Okay, at least you had the pressure.
But the Shala for Shiva, you're supposed to sit Shiva after that's the Shala.
The Shaila is like this. If they were anusim, you sit Shiva on them. If they chose to be what they are, then you don't. So bottom line, after reviewing what I see here, I don't really find enough reason why it's permitted to do it. But reality-wise, you see, that's what everyone does. Even rabbis come to the Shiva to speak. Not only they allowing it, they actually participate and they come and they speak. I don't know. Maybe they count on the fact that before he died, he did tshuva. You know, before he died, many secular people in the last day of their life, they do think tshuva. They are afraid. They begin to talk like religious people. There's not like this monster, the book writers in Israel, that he wrote in his will, don't dare to say Kaddish on me. Someone like this obviously doesn't deserve to be sitting Shiva on him. But somebody else, also sometimes a person is wicked because of desires, not because he's against Hashem. Why it's not kosher? Because he hates Hashem? No. Why is Mechalel Shabbat? Because he hates Hashem? No. It's the desire. It's desire for money, so he open his store. It's desire for pleasure, so he drive the car. It's desire for delicious food, which is not kosher, and it's in front of him right now. So, but it doesn't really necessarily mean that he hates Hashem. He doesn't care about Hashem when it comes to his desire, which is already a huge problem. But there is a difference between I don't care about Hashem or I hate Hashem, which I try to do everything on purpose to get him angry. You understand the difference or no? Which means if you put two pieces of meat, glad kosher and completely not kosher, in front of him, since he has strong desire for meat, he will eat the kosher. Why to get Hashem upset for nothing? I have another alternative. The problem is when he's only non-kosher, now he's very hungry, he cannot hold his desire and he eats it. Can we say he ate it because he hates God? No, he just loves desires. That's what's going on here. However, there are people that on purpose they would eat from the non-kosher meat. On purpose. In that case, that's already a much worse level. So we have basically still a dilemma why they're allowing it. Technically, according to the law of the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch, it's not allowed. Not allowed. A convert that became an Orthodox Jew and his biological parent died, does he have to sit Shiva on them or no?
He can.
There is a question if he's allowed to say Kaddish on them. The answer is allowed. Allowed. The question is, what happened? What happened if they died and he wants to sit Shiva, to rip his clothes, to sit on the floor for 7 days?
They're not obligated. They're not
The options are not obligated but allowed, or not allowed. Which one of the two?
He's not obligated, but he's allowed, but they're not really his parents.
Right.
He's converted.
They're not his parents, but he say Kaddish for them.
Yes, sure.
But Kaddish, even a stranger can say. We have people that send money to guys in our yeshiva, and they say Kaddish for strangers. They go by the list. They have a list of names. They send money every month, and they say Kaddish for them because they don't have sons that are Shomer Shabbos.
What was the custom?
You need Shomer Shabbat to say Kaddish. Someone is violator of Shabbat is like a goy. What is your Kaddish going to help?
Right.
You know?
Did the father support him as being a Jew, the son? He supported him as...
Oh, so Rafi suggests maybe the Goyim parents actually supported that he'll be a Jew. Sometimes they're against it. Does it have to do with the decision if to sit Shiva on them or no? The answer is doesn't have an obligation like like a Jew has an obligation to his father. Because after all, once they converted, their parents are not their parents anymore. But he can do what the Goyim do in this area. If the Goyim puts flowers on a grave, whatever, that's what accepted over there. He can go and put flowers on a grave.
Can I ask you, what is the nisach that when a child left the religion, he married a shiksa, so the parents said Shiva? What's the idea?
That's only a symbolic thing. It's not required by law. They want to show to the world that they're so disgusted by their son's actions that he ended up intermarried. So they see Shiva like to declare to the world, for us he's dead. Which also there's another reason for it. By the Hasidim, for instance, if one of your kids go off the derech, many of them holds it against the parent. Even though the parent could be Yitzchak Avinu, that had Esav. But they hold it against the parents, and the parents pay the price, and not only the parents, the siblings also. It's affect their marriages, their shidduchim, it messed up the whole life of the others. Yeah. So sometimes the parents wants to do something drastic to say, we have nothing to do with what he chose to do. We're against it, we discussed it, he's dead for us. Here, we're sitting Shiva for him.
Or even to show that...
To show that we're not accepting him. We're not those kind of parents. Come, Itzi, come with Christine. No problem, you're our son, we love you anyway. You understand? They don't want but by other people, they tell you, many parents tell me, what am I going to do? My son wants to come to me with Christine. What am I going to say? I'm going to tell him, don't come? It's a big problem.
But the Druze, that saved them, that shot those Arabs in the shul. So the Rav Reuben was the Rav of the shul went and he said special tefillot for him, and his neshama should go to up to Shemayim. The police. I don't know if he said Kaddish or not.
For the Druzi, for the policeman.
Yes.
The rabbis went to his funeral. They went to.
That's right.
Yeah, but that's already Kiddush Hashem. That's gratitude. That's a goy that is loyal to Israel. And they love the Jews. They never made problems to Israel. The Druze are very good and very loyal goyim. It's actually a privilege if finally you have goyim living among you that they all would be like them. I wish it would be the case. So now, they citizen, according to the laws of democracy, they equal to Israelis in any possible way. But even according to the laws of the Torah, this is a loyal ger toshav that lives in Israel and he has rights. Yeah, and plus, on top of all that, then he came and gave his life to save Jews. And the Gemara already have examples of goyim who sacrificed their life to save Rabbi and they went to heaven, the heaven of the Jews. The Gemara say, what was the name of the Rab that was holding the Sefer Torah? Asara Arugei Malchut. Asara Arugei Malchut. Huh? Ben Tardion. Rabbi Hananiah Ben Tardion. They wrapped him with the Torah and they put sponges soaked with water. And the Roman soldier, he had a torch and he was supposed to burn him with the Torah. So why they put cotton balls soaked with water? That to slow his death. Instead of dying in a minute, he will die in 10 minutes. Because it's, the water are preventing it. So what happened? So the guy said to him, Rabbi, if I'll make the fire directly on you, I go around, bypass this cotton, and make the fire high, would you take me with you to Olam Haba? You take me to where you go? So the rabbi told him yes. He said, but swear to me. And he swore to him. And after that, he put the fire directly on him. Obviously, he couldn't save him because everyone around. And he jumped and hugged him. And they both got burned together. And the Gemara said there was an announcement in a court that this guy is welcome to Olam Haba. No conversion, no nothing. He gave his life to save Jews, to save a rabbi, big rabbi, one of the holiest in history. And he ended up, now he's smiling forever. What a smart decision I had. Imagine if he would burn him the way he was supposed to and would stay a goy and die a goy. He will never finish his suffering for eternity for doing what he did. So he actually did the same thing with 2 or 3 minutes difference, and he jumped into the fire himself, and he saved himself and saved his soul. Time is running out. The last thing for today. My brother married a Goya and disconnected his connection with the Jewish community, and he died. Do I have to sit Shiva on him or no? The answer, we are not allowed to mourn for Jews who excluded themselves from the Jewish public. פרקו מעליהם לגמרי את הקשר עם עם ישראל. They disconnected themselves completely from the nation of Israel, such as, they give an example, a Jew who married a Goya, unless if he made tshuva before he died. If he regretted, sometimes they say, what a mistake I made. They get divorced. They make tshuva. They say, what a mistake I made. Sometimes they didn't get divorced. When they have cancer and they're dying, they're still married to the Goya. And they regret it in the last 2 days of their life. They say in the hospital, I made a mistake. I know God's going to punish me. What a mistake I made. Why did I do it? He regrets it. And then he died. Even though he still died as married to her, the question is, it's a partial tshuva. It's not a perfect tshuva, but it's a partial tshuva, then you mourn on him. But if he died with his love to Christine, say Christine was the light of my life, no Hashem, no Torah, no nothing, you're not allowed to sit Shiva on him. And many big Chachamim say that you're also not allowed to say Kaddish on him. But I'll tell you a story, and we'll finish with that story. Many years ago, I was sitting in my sukkah in Monsey on Chol HaMoed Sukkot. Chol HaMoed Sukkot. Sitting, learning in a sukkah, I get a phone call. What's the phone call? My cousin, she lives in France, she's now in Israel, and she has a friend that wants to come to New York. Why the friends want to? A young girl, maybe 20 years old, 21, something like that. Why she wants to come to New York, and what does it have to do with me? Okay. You'll soon get the point here. She wants to come to New York, be'al korcha. She didn't plan a trip. She has a cousin, that girl, that is married to a Goya here in New York, and he died, and he doesn't have any kids. Even if he had kids with a Goya, they're not his kids. In his case, no kids at all. And the Goya wants to bury him in a Christian cemetery. Because she's a Christian Goya with a cross on her neck. When this cousin heard that her Yemenite cousin, that his grandfather was a Mori in Yemen, right? That he's about to be buried in a Christian cemetery, even though she wasn't a rich girl, She collected enough money to buy a ticket and come here and trying to arrange for him a Jewish funeral. In cases like that, when a Jew wants to make a funeral to a relative in a different country, what's the first thing they do? They try to remember which religious person we know in that country, that we will have a start. We call him, can you tell us how to do it? What's Chevrat Kadisha number? Give us Rabbi, find out. You know, one thing leads to another. So the only religious people they know in America, she knows my cousin, that knows me, and called me after years. I didn't hear her voice since she went to France. And she called me up and she said, this is the case. She's coming, she doesn't know anything, she's not religious, and needless to say, she doesn't know what to start. She doesn't have money, who's going to pay? I don't know anything. Would you agree to help her? I say, yeah, give us the information until she gets here. Okay. So she arrived to New York, and now we need to get 10 guys. 10 guys to go to the yeshiva. Now remember, Chol HaMoed, the yeshiva is off. Everyone goes to places. So it's very difficult to find the guys. If they're all around, 1, 2, 3, you find them. But now everyone is in a different place. I called to the yeshiva. Somebody picked up. I say, we need right away, me and 9 more people, to drive to Huntington, Long Island, 2.5 hours away from Monsey. Quickly to go to make a funeral to an anonymous Jew that has nobody. I already called the Chevrat Kadisha. They wanted $4,000. We said, no problem, we'll collect the money, we'll give you the money. They said that some of the money they will give because they have donations. Fine. Everything was ready within an hour or two. We got 2 cars. We drove to somewhere at the end of Long Island in such a freezing day. Usually Sukkot, sometimes it's cold, sometimes not. That year, it was an open place, strong wind, 0 degrees. We're dying there from the freeze. We went over there until Chevrat Kadisha came with the body from Brooklyn to this Huntington place. Took maybe 3 hours. And we're standing outside freezing for 3 hours, trying to talk Divrei Torah. 10 guys and this girl. That's the funeral. Nobody else. And now we're waiting for the body to come. So what do you do when you wait for Chevrat Kadisha 3 hours if you are me? And you stand next to a secular girl, 20 years old. I gave her a whole seminar. By the time they brought the body, we made this Yemenite Jew such a funeral better than all his relatives secular would ever do to him if he was in Israel. We did it according to Halacha, Te'ilim, Tziduk Adin, everything we needed to do, we did for him. I don't know what was his chut today when I think about it. We buried him in a Jewish cemetery, and I got this girl into Midrashia. She didn't go back to Brooklyn. She became a Rebbitzin, and she married a Belze Chassid. That was the end of it. Hashem saw that she cared about her cousin. She came to America to make him a funeral. For that, I'm going to make you get life of eternity. She came to the right place. She didn't know that the whole thing was arranged for her to come to do tshuva. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what was the schut of this Temani. After all, he's married to Goya, didn't live religious. He had to do some mitzvah in his life that Hashem arranged for him to get saved from a Christian impure cemetery. That's number 1. To get buried in a kosher funeral. And thanks to him, his cousin got religious. It's all thanks to his funeral. And he was young. He was in his 40s. He died young. He wasn't even old. He was a young person. I don't know what happened to him. He died. Chevrat Kadisha showed up. We did the funeral. And Baruch Hashem, she became a big tzadikah. We'll see you next Tuesday, Bezrat Hashem. Baruch Adonai L'olam. Amen.